In this lesson, I'm going to give you some insight into how the IELTS scores are calculated for reading, writing, listening, speaking, and then how they are combined to make up the overall score. And this lesson applies to general training and academic IELTS, so this is relevant to everybody. My name is Lara Ryan. I've been an IELTS examiner. I've been an IELTS teacher at the British Council. I have over a decade of experience with the IELTS test, and I am the founder of Complete Test Success. Now, we will be looking at how the scores are calculated, but if you do need to improve reading, writing, listening, or speaking, you can find resources for all of that on my website, and I'll leave the link to that in the video description. Firstly, we will look at IELTS writing scores, and in all you get 8 different scores. So for task 1, you're given 4 band scores, and for task 2, you're also given 4 band scores. The first band score you get is task achievement. Task achievement is checking if your answer is directly related to the question and how well you've developed that answer. The next band score is coherence and cohesion. This one is checking how well your answer is organized and how well the ideas link together, how well the paragraphs are linked together, and how easy it is to follow the sentences from one to the next. The third band descriptor is known as lexical resource, and this is basically checking your vocabulary range and your vocabulary accuracy. And the final band descriptor for writing is grammatical range and accuracy. And of course, this one is checking your grammar. So let's have a look at how the score is determined for task 1 and for task 2 first, and we will look at how those are combined to make your IELTS writing score after that. So let's say your band scores for task 1 were 6 for task achievement, 7 for coherence and cohesion, 6 for lexical resource, and 7 for grammatical range and accuracy. And this is pretty straightforward. We just get the average of those 4 band scores. So that will be 6 plus 7 plus 6 plus 7 is 26. And we divide that by 4, which gives us 6.5. So for this task 1 answer, the overall band score is 6.5. Then for task 2, there are also 4 band scores. So let's say this one got 6, 6, 5, and 6. Again, we'll get the average. So add those up, divide by 4. But this time we land on 5.75 when we get the average. Now, you cannot get a band 5.75. You can get a band 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. So it goes up in increments of a half mark, but anything in between does not count. So what will happen in this case is they will actually round down the score. Now, a lot of times when I tell students about this, they get annoyed, they feel that it's unfair. But that's not the case, because later on they will be rounding up your average score, so it does balance out perfectly. So far we have a band 6.5 for task 1 and a band 5.5 for task 2, so let's see how these are combined to make up your overall IELTS writing score. Now the thing here is that task 1 is worth half as much as task 2, that's why you spend 20 minutes on task 1 and 40 minutes on task 2. So the easiest way to represent this is to add the task 1 score plus the task 2 score plus the task 2 score again, because the task 2 score is twice as valuable. Then we divide that by 3. So in this instance, it's 6.5 plus 5.5 plus 5.5 divided by 3, and that gives us 17.5 divided by 3, 5.8333. And like I mentioned earlier on, this time the score gets rounded up. So the overall IELTS writing score in this scenario is band 6. As always, make sure to subscribe to my channel and like my page if you haven't already done so. That will mean you will get notifications when my next lessons are available. Now we'll look at how the IELTS listening score is calculated, and this is very simple compared to what we just looked at with IELTS writing. What happens here is the number of correct answers that you got are counted up, and then this table is used to convert that number of correct answers into the band score. What's great about this is it means that you can assess your own band score when you're doing practice IELTS listening tests. Just be careful that you're very strict when you're correcting your answers, because the spelling, the grammar, everything has to be the exact same as the answer key. And that brings us to the IELTS speaking score, and for this the examiner will give you 4 individual band scores. The first one is referred to as fluency and coherence. And basically the fluency aspect of this is checking how often you pause to stop and think about what to say. And the coherence side of this is related to, are you directly responding to the question and are you developing that response appropriately? The next one is lexical resource. And as we saw with the writing test, this term just means vocabulary range and accuracy. Then we have grammatical range and accuracy, checking your grammar, and pronunciation, checking your pronunciation. So again, you'll get a score from 1 to 9 for each of these, and then they will be combined to determine your overall IELTS speaking score. So let's look at an example here. Let's say a candidate got band 6, 7, 6, and 6. Again, we'll get the average of these, so we'll just add them together, divide by 4, and we get 6.25. And with IELTS speaking, the score will be rounded down. So the actual score for this candidate is a band 6. Okay, as always, if you're learning anything new from this lesson, make sure to click like on the video to give me some positive feedback. Next is the IELTS reading scores, and these are a little bit different because to calculate the general training score and the academic score, we need a different conversion table. So like listening, all of the correct answers will be counted up, and this table will be used to convert the number of correct answers into the band score. Just keep in mind that if you're doing the academic test, you'll need to use academic IELTS reading practice tests and use the appropriate row to convert your score. And similarly, if you're doing the general training test, use the correct practice tests and then look at the appropriate line here to assess your own band score. Okay, so now you know exactly how reading, writing, listening, and speaking are scored. So let's see how are those combined to make up your overall IELTS score. So with these, they're equally weighted, which means that each one represents a quarter or 25%. So very simply, we just add them up and divide by 4. So again, we're looking for the average. Let's say a student got 8, 7, 7, 7. Those are added together and divided by 4. And that will give us 7.25. And this time again, that score is rounded up. So the overall IELTS score for this candidate is band 7.5. Now, when you get your IELTS certificate, it gives you the score for reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But it does not give you the individual band scores for task achievement, coherence and cohesion, vocab, grammar, pronunciation, or any of those. So the problem is that if you do the IELTS test and you do not get the score that you need, you're still not sure about why. Now, what you don't want is to study fluency, vocab, grammar, pronunciation. You don't want to try to improve all of those when really the only problem might be your pronunciation. So getting the support and the feedback of an IELTS expert will mean that you know which area you really need to improve, and you'll improve your scores much faster because all of the time you spend studying is spent on the particular weakness that's stopping you from getting your IELTS score. Now, any IELTS expert can help you with that, but I do have free live feedback lessons, so feel free to get involved, join me there, and I'll be able to give you that information. Also, just let me know in the comments if you've done an IELTS test before or not.